Hello, and good morning. So, just gonna go ahead and get this thing started. No one's really showed up yet, but I've only got about 40 minutes or so. Let's go ahead and see what we can do here. So, both fights that I want to do here, I wanted to start off with Cox versus Rocks here, Cockatrices versus Golems. So, first off, the Cockatrices, second off, the Rocks here, the Golems. So the way I have these set up, the Cockatrices are set up with basically all of their abilities. Pretty much everything could fit in there. With the Golems, they're split with 4 different loadouts, with preferences against different types of enemies, so all that sort of thing. So yeah, we can go ahead and do that. Let's get this thing started. So we'll be going for Lake Bordeaux in this one. It's gonna likely end up with a lot of 1v1s. So let's see what happens. Now, personally, between these two, I'm gonna say it's very likely to wind up in the Golem's favor. But you know what, let me expand the screen a little bit here. We're getting a tiny bit of blockiness. There we go, that should look a little bit better. Whoa, I don't know why it's lagging all of a sudden. That was weird. Hang on, let me double check these settings here. There's something going on. Oh. Odd. Very odd. Oh, you know what it probably is? It's probably transfer effects. Yeah, there we go. So, on some maps, if you're running into lag like that, it's usually block transfer effects. Alright, so, skill-wise, these all have Rampart Aura. They have a different selection of different abilities, as you can see here. All of them are going to have Counter Hit, Tactician, and some manner of their main attack abilities, as well as Rampart. All the Cockatrices here, they're basically all going to have this same setup of literally all of their attack abilities, plus Augment Dark, plus Counter Hit, plus Anatomy. They've obviously got access to other things, but I figured this was the most reasonable setup for all of them. Actually, did I set the AI for the Golems? I'm not sure I did. Let's go ahead and get that set. So now, Rake's prediction on this is that the Golems would end up getting potentially Petrification locked, which is also very possible here. They've got some of the highest health in the game, as you can see here. I think it's like a 100 or 200 difference between these two. Or, no, like a 300 difference. They've got 600 to 700, Golems have 900 plus. The Golems are going to be far stronger, far sturdier. They all, this question came up last time, so they all have the same equipment that they were recruited with. So they have one item on them as far as a weapon goes, the Vicious Assault, which can be changed to a different item once you actually recruit them. There's an upgraded kind of claw weapon for them, but again, these are just coming out with the one ring and one attack item that they come with. Just figured, you know, maybe they ran into each other in the wild, that sort of thing. So every Cockatrice comes with a Ring of Might, every Golem comes with a Ring of Wards, so theoretically that should help them to deal with the whole petrification thing a little bit. But as you can see there, they've got a pretty big damage discrepancy. Actually, an interesting balance between these two. When it came to the Golems, they only had Counter Hit 2, whereas the Cockatrices got Counter Hit 3, which basically... the way that it was redone, I believe it's 75% for Counter Hit 2 and then 100% for Counter Hit 3. Base game, there were 4 ranks. A lot of stuff was just given less ranks to make it less tedious. So the Golems, obviously, are going to be sturdier, but if they're looking at 40% hits, that's going to be a little bit of a while for them to get anywhere. I guess we'll just have to see once the abilities come out. So as far as abilities go, the Golems get a lot of AoE and direct fire abilities, whereas the Cockatrices get a lot of petrification, poison, and stun abilities. So theoretically, both of them could be very good, though poison will take a really long time, so I hope they don't end up doing that. That'd be a little bit unfortunate. So far, the Cockatrices seem to be a little bit sturdier than the, than the Griffins were, so hopefully they're going to do a little bit better. If you saw Griffins versus Dragons, basically the Griffins got outright crushed in that fight. So this was a similar thing. So an interesting note, I believe it was... Let me see if I can remember his name. Dang it, Something with a K. I just looked at it before this so that I would remember. Dang it. The guy that requested this, I forget if he actually mentioned if this was supposed to be a Ogre Battle 64 reference, but in that one, if you mixed certain elements, that's how you upgraded your golem, but you were better off hiring one in the wild, because the odds of actually running into that sort of combination was functionally non-existent. Let's see, so far it seems like the golems are doing okay, despite their incredibly low odds of actually hitting. The 25%, is that gonna hit? No, that's the first block in a while. Oh, there we go. First one that gets petrified, so that puts him out of the fight for a while, and honestly, even one or two being petrified is enough to potentially switch the battle entirely in the Cockatrices' favor. So one more that was requested after this was to see how Cockatrices do against Griffins, and yeah, then there was one more fight that I wanted to do after that, provided that there's time, which was to see a old gen team plus one vision team. So I actually had, I've been watching two different runs lately of two different players that were going through different versions of the game for the first time, more or less. So Mr. Bob Cramhole, who had been going through One Vision for the first time, and the team that he's put together by, I believe he's towards the end of Chapter 2 now. Okay, yeah, this is going pretty strongly for the Griffins, not the Griffins, but the Cockatrices right now. And then there was another one from Strider Kane, who had been going through the SNES version, and so I remade his team as closely as I could as well. So both of them had seen a few changes, just because obviously the SNES stuff doesn't exactly carry over as directly as you'd hope. And at the same time, the One Vision team was pretty early in the game, so I scaled everything up to about the same level as everything else. So we'll see how that goes. Basically, the idea was to see how everything would fare if they all met at the end of Chapter 4. So if they were meeting right at the end of the game, you know, what they would end up doing. So yeah, right now, it's definitely looking like these guys are getting petrification locked, which is hilarious because a lot of them are stone. And in a bit of a nod to OB64, and I forget if it works the same way in whatever it was called, March of the Black Queen, but yeah, the stone ones cannot be turned into stone, just so you know. The game doesn't actually have that, I believe, but as far as their wards go, I gave them all stone ward. Also, the different units were given different racial abilities against certain things. I just figured it made more sense. Like, for example, Balder, apparently they're supposed to be good against a lot of things except for fire for some reason. I forget where exactly I read that. But, just figured, you know what, maybe they just really don't like lizards, so they get Herpetology and Draconology bonus. I'm gonna think of it. Let me check the cheats real quick, because I believe we... Yeah, no wonder. Okay, there's actually supposed to be cheats activated on this. Why is this going back and forth like that? Apologize. We're supposed to be using this 64 times skill rank up, and for whatever reason, it's not doing that. For some reason, right before this, my emulator had decided that it no longer remembered any of the recent games. Not sure why, but whatever. So there we go. Now they should properly be ranking up their abilities. These guys won't really rank up against each other much, though. I believe a couple of the golems have teratology, which honestly won't make much of a difference. They're going to get like an extra 5 damage or something if they rank that up. But the resonance abilities, yeah, there we go. Resonance abilities, which again won't make too big of a difference. Mostly this is the skill rank up is going to be for the next fights. But yeah, if you have any requests, just let me know. I've got like 5 or 6 more teams to make for later, so... Oh wow, these guys are completely petrify locked. They're rock locked! Rock locked should be a term. Now, obviously the stone golems not turning into stone is a fun little reference thing, but I guess technically speaking, they're not really being turned to stone so much as encased in stone. Just because they shake it off right afterwards, otherwise Warren is a pretty major dick to Canopus. If you don't know what I'm talking about, there's one of the cutscenes in Lucked in which Warren gets tired of hearing Canopus talk or brag or something. I think they get into an argument or something along those lines. And so he just basically petrifies him for the rest of the conversation, which was pretty friggin' funny. But, oh, there we go. Get to see Heaven's Tear more. I really like Heaven's Tear. So, if you're wondering, that used to be a completely different ability, and at this point now it's like they just launch a crap ton of rocks, and it's really cool looking. There we go. Looks like the golems are ironically being turned to stone so hard that they can't even fight back. So, Mr. Rakes, I guess your prediction's correct or whatever. Alrighty then. The Shockwave didn't do much. Oh, by the way, if you're wondering, all of them do have augments for their respective abilities. So they should be getting very slightly stronger over the course of the fight, but it probably won't make too big of a difference. Again, it's, 5 damage isn't going to make a difference when all of them are doing 100 pluses against stuff. Especially when there's so many units on the field. The main idea behind that whole rank-up feature was primarily just to, once they get to the very end, that they would have maxed out their abilities and maybe show off some of the rank 8 stuff. Just, potentially, if it winds up being a really one-sided affair with, let's say all of one team wiped out, that very last guy might have all their ranks up and they might be able to pull off something really cool, as opposed to very early on where they would just end up, kind of going back and forth a little while. So it seemed like a more fair way to show all aspects of the fight. Yeah, no, it's fair to say the Cockatrices won this. Although, come to think of it, I forgot about Shockwave. He's actually putting a bunch of them to sleep. They're completely punching out the Cockatrices. And there goes another one. Okay, yeah, no, actually, 3 of them are down. But, yeah, the Cockatrices get a... They get a really good opportunity to go and beat down the ones that they can actually get to. This is interesting. This is interesting. I wonder if he knew about this. I wonder if that's why he was asking. How do you miss the one that's on the ground sleeping? Ah, well. Just completely flubbed that one. Granite Fist. Yeah, I believe Granite Fist is just a basic attack, and then Shockwave is the one that knocks them unconscious. Although I believe Granite Fist may potentially do more damage. If you're wondering speed-wise, pretty much the Cockatrices are going to be getting their turns a lot faster, and they also get a lot less penalty per tile that they take. So, for example, if a Golem were to move the full extent of their movement range, it would, their full RT would end up taking quite a bit longer than a Cockatrice. I want to say it's fast enough that they would actually get a chance to double turn them, but it is pretty significant. Which is one of the reasons why there's kind of a... I know one of the things that Rakes was looking for when he was looking through the files was potentially something that would cause the AI to stop constantly running the full extent of their movement range. Like, there's so many times when they'll go and they'll use an ability, they're like, oh, I just took that stun off that guy, I'm just gonna go all the way to the back lines now, and they do that, and their next turn's gonna be a week from now all of a sudden. Because, a lot of the classes end up getting a really high cost for their movement. So especially stuff like Knights or Fusiliers. If they end up using the full move, well, it's going to take a very long time for them to get back in the fight. And that's a weird choice right there. They only got 2. Could have potentially gotten 3 in the other one. Whenever they're using those abilities, they should have a pretty low damage against their own guys. Because they should, A, be resistant to it because of the fact that they have the augment already on them. Plus the fact that they're petrified, so they should have a pretty hefty defense bonus. I'm not sure why they're not attacking themselves. Which is not usually something that you hear very often. Broaden Force. Obviously, their Rampart Auras and stuff like that aren't really going to make a difference against enemies that can fly. Although, interestingly enough, that would make a difference against ghosts, or liches, or something like that. Which, speaking of, that lich team is going to take a pretty friggin' long time, so probably not going to see that until next week or so. A lot of the other ones are coming together pretty quick. Actually, I started running a little bit short on time here today because, well, both a mix of other responsibilities and the fact that Cockatrices have only one area where you can really get a bunch of them, and it's kind of a pain to get to. So it's this whole thing of offloading a storage unit while just messing around with a PSP, trying to go and cause the AI to basically kill itself over and over. So I could just put the thing down, have a map clear itself, and then, you know, go back to editing the team once I actually got to the Cockatrice map. Once I actually got there, it didn't take very long. I think it took me like 20 minutes to set this team up. But either way, it still takes a hot minute. So who knows? But just like the AC arena, as soon as stuff gets going, it gets going pretty fast. So I think with that one, it only took me like 3 days to put together 200 different AIs. Something like that. It took a hot minute, though. Honestly thought about letting that arena go to somebody else on more than one occasion. Because it takes quite a while. Oh well. Oh well. Alright, let's take a look at these teams and see how they're holding up. As per usual, it's hard to tell with the clustercluck of bodies everywhere. Alright, so we've got 3 Golems down, we've got 5 Cockatrices down, though it's unclear how many are asleep and how many are dead. So it looks like 2 are dead. Yeah, 2 up there, yeah. So currently the Cockatrices are winning it, but, you know, all it takes is a good AoE move from the Golems, which may end up turning this whole thing around. Not sure how they missed the guy that's sleeping. It's almost like they're very, 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 very inaccurate or something. So, if I were to guess, I mean, something like an Alacrity Ring would really help these guys a lot. It's because the Golems end up using a lot of abilities that scale off of accuracy. Oh. Okay, apparently there's a little bit of stutter going on. Not sure what that's all about. Hang on, let me see if I can adjust some stuff to fix that. I think it just might be, yeah, I think it might be, all the neighbors coming home. Ah. No, I should have gotten to this sooner. So sorry about that. But, yeah, so, hello there, cow. Hopefully you're having a good day, and yeah, that's the Cox vs. Rocks fight. So basically, the Cockatrices are actually winning this pretty well right now, just because their petrification is causing all Golems to basically get stuck in place. So only 3 of them are actually immune to petrification. So this was, yeah, there's 4 different types of Golems, so you got clay, iron, stone, well, clay, stone, iron, and then, boulder. And, yeah, it seems like we just lost the other 2. Apologies again for the weird stuttering here. I'm not... Yeah, I don't know why it's doing this. There we go. It seems to be coming back now. You just gotta give it a minute. Again, apologies. Chickens scare you. Why did chickens scare you? I mean, granted, if chickens came around and petrified you, I could definitely see that happening. I'm gonna think of it is... I should have checked this earlier. Is that fan coming through in the background? I really hope it isn't. And more chickens getting squashed by rocks. Chickens. No, this was clearly unavoidable. You have to go fight a brick wall every single day. Nothing you can do about it. That's another one down. Got attacked by chickens? Yeah, had a similar experience with a goose when I was little. I just have a really strong temptation to, well, to yell at geese, but unfortunately they're everywhere. Yeah, we have a whole bunch of ridiculously dickish geese around here, actually. Like the other day, the wife and I were running to go check on this, they have like this community garden thing. So we were driving over there, and just this flock of geese wanders into the road and just starts staring. Just like, yeah, no, we're a barricade now. What are you douches doing on our road? You know, get out of here. They're just standing there. They just form a line and they stand there. So they're just there mashing on the friggin' horn over and over until they finally decide to friggin' move, like, a minute later. They suck. They waited till you weren't looking, and going up concrete steps and they jumped me from behind. Oh, jeez. That's rough. Alright, looks like the golems have completely turned this around. So I don't think there's enough cockatrices to actually keep that stun lock going. Although they may be down another couple pretty soon here. Let's see, do either of these have Stone Circle? He's probably got Breath on him. He maybe will get Breath in the next turn. Yeah, no. I think the golems might actually get this. But yeah, chickens are annoying when they're angry. Although, by and large, they're just kind of adorable when they crap eggs, and it's hilarious. And then they make breakfast! Let's see, they also terrorize the neighborhood and beat up a pack... What?! How did chickens beat up a pack of dogs? What kind of psychotic chickens do you have there, man? What the hell? I've heard of dogs getting scared of stuff really easily. I mean, hell, the cat terrorizes the dogs all the time, but chickens are like food to them. Everything about a chicken is like, I must break you, you know? He's gonna petrify? No, he didn't. Okay. Might get a petrification here? Yeah, this could still go either way, but bad RNG here seems to be turning this towards the golems. It all depends on whether or not they can get a stone circle going. And yeah, it looks like we're finally back up to green as far as the stream goes. Still annoyed that that happened, because a few people left. Yeah, I think that's just a mix of summer and people coming home. That's why I usually end up doing this kind of stuff in the morning. Completely free at that point. I'm gonna have to look up a video of a chicken beating a dog. How does that even... What does that even look like? Do you just squawk really angrily at the dog and it runs away? Like, I cannot think of any time where... So, we raise dogs, right? And, I can't imagine any one of them just not immediately looking at things like, ooh, look, feathers! And then just friggin' tackling it. I don't know. Also, look, these chickens over here blaming the friggin' humans. No, you guys got into a fight with the golems on your own. Don't even look at me. This is all your fault. You were attacked by elite chickens? Yeah, the, you know, those elite chicken death squads. You gotta be careful about those, man. Just sort of show up like a weird SWAT team or something, just like go and slowly peck through a window. just slowly tap on the glass until it breaks like a year later. They just take turns tapping on it. Are you sure those were chickens specifically? Because that really sounds like a goose. Because geese are known for that kind of crap. I mean, like, what... The goose story, when I was a little kid, right? That a similar thing of being attacked by a bird. So, I was at some... I think I was just sitting in while my mom was catering a wedding or some crap. And I was there with a bunch of other kids, and one of them just goes and throws a stick at a goose. Just like one random goose, right? Frickin' like 20 geese come out around a corner, and they just start attacking all the kids. And, you know, the guy that was supposed to be watching us is obviously freaking out. He's just there trying to kick them all away and everything. Everyone's scattering off in different directions, getting chased away by these freaking stupid birds. And yeah, I don't know why it is that in every one of these apartment complexes, they're like, yeah, no, let's keep these birds around, and then you get these guys that just show up and they're like, yeah, no, I'm gonna go feed these geese everywhere. I want them pooping on everything and attacking my children. Yes, thank you. And, you'd think people would know better, but no. This is... every day that we drive by the garden, there's somebody feeding the geese. Anyway. Geese suck, is what I'm trying to get at here. They're possibly the douchiest birds in existence. Hey, Exile! Modern interpretation of the birds, pretty much. Except, like, everyone's built like Schwarzenegger and just punching out birds with rocks. Get to the chopper! I'm gonna punch these birds! Yeah, no, geese suck. I saw this comic a while ago that, I forget who, I want to say it was the Saturday morning breakfast thing, but it's, a conversation between, like, God and Satan. He's like, look, God, let me just make one thing. He's like, okay, fine, you can make one thing. And he's just sitting there rubbing his hands, saying jackpot, and he's just imagining a goose. This is the perfect interpretation of it. Club it with a golf club? Yes. You know what's weird? Those things are shockingly resilient. Like, I had this, like, one of those old, stupidly overpowered BB guns from the 50s, and so I had some geese show up once, and this was kind of... it was a little bit more out there in California there. And so, I had this, I guess I would call him more of a colleague that had given me this BB gun. He's like, oh, yeah, you know, I have these birds around, and here, just take this thing and just go scare them. Like, okay, fine, you know, I'm kind of a kid at the time, I don't really understand it, so whatever. So I take this BB gun and load it up, I go outside, and there's just all these geese everywhere. He's like, oh, don't worry about it, you can just shoot them wherever, they'll be fine. I'm like, okay, I don't understand it, but why not? So I just go and shoot one in the belly, and, yeah, sure enough, he just, like, looks at me like, really? It's like, what, you know, something, friggin' breeze went by. I didn't feel that. Them things are resilient. So yeah, despite Cockatrices winning most of this fight, it kind of looks like, oh, just barely? Yeah, just barely. Okay, it's coming down to the last two. It's all gonna come down to whether or not he's able to hit this Cockatrice. So this potentially might break down to one dodge. I dodge it! Ah. Okay, so the last one at like 200 health. So there you go. Cox vs. Rocks, as it should definitely be called. Had to lie about us not having Uber chickens? Yeah, I don't know what kind of friggin' elite SWAT chickens you got over there, cow. That sounds terrifying. Alright. So, next fight. So we got, let's see, what do we want to see? We got old gen versus new gen, and we have Cockatrices versus Griffins. What do you guys want to see? We got, like, 30 more minutes for another one. Just gonna go with the first comment that comes in because of how few generally come in. Yeah, lives near a nuke plant, apparently. Apparently. Do you live by a nuke plant, Mr. Cow? Were they horse-sized chickens? Or were they chicken-sized horses? Is that why you make so many horse ACs? I don't know. But okay. Let's see, I'm gonna pull up this one in the meantime, unless... Okay, nothing came in, so let's see. Comments? Alrighty then. Alright, so, I guess we're just gonna do this one then. So we got, I already had Cram Knights in there, so they became the Cram Fights. So, these are two different teams. This is a rebuild of Mr. Strider Kane's team from the SNES version. Oh crap, I forgot to turn off the fairy code. Ah, jeez. Alright, hang on. Wait a friggin' minute? Is that... What the crap? That shouldn't have even been on. Sorry, I don't know why that's on there at the moment. That's an odd bug. The third from the top. What? Alright, let's see. Yeah, Pimp Fairy should not be on. Hang on, let's reset. Alright, so choose opponent. We're gonna go ahead and go say... Cram Fights. The third from the top. Hang on. Let me see what's up there. Yeah, you know, my buttons are messed up. That's supposed to be... Oh, Fire Coffee? Yeah, that was an old test team. But we're... Okay, so we got Cram Fights versus Kane's Striders. So this is the one that's remade from the SNES version. So he made it to Palace of the Dead. I wanted to basically have a Chapter 4 version of each one. So he had orbs and a wind bow on Canopus, so that's how he's been remade. He had the Famfred, I think it was called in the SNES version, as well as a bunch of orbs and flying boots on Denim, so that's how he's been remade. Kashua with this almost exact setup. You had Rudlam with almost this exact setup. Rose, who's actually a ghost called Royd in his version, also similar. Habrim, who's been... Okay, he uses him as a petrification kind of thing, so he basically has an item here that'll give him Petrification Breath, as well as a Desert Blade to help him out with that as well. He's got Vice here with pretty much the same setup. Rada here with mostly just here with the 3 abilities that she uses. Eyewatch with her spells that she uses, and then 2 healers with more or less their same setups. Alright, so let's go ahead and get this going. Huh. Yeah, that sounds like a Maine Coon. One of my wife's cats is a Maine Coon, and that thing is a beast. Alright, so, okay, no need to do an interrupt here because their AI is already going. So the other team here is actually, I should have mentioned this earlier, but it was Mr. Bob Cramhole's team from his run, except scaled up all the way to how they would probably be in Chapter 4. So these were the 11 units that he used the most. So he was using Folkert, he was using Wymond here, an intelligence-based Berserker, because oddly enough he took a guy with a intelligence template and made him into a Berserker. I gave him what I like to call the T-Rex combo, just because it's fun. It's reasonably effective, too. We have Denim here as a Terror Knight, Voltaire, as he was already shown before, Tammuz, who's actually standing in for Canopus, mostly because Denim and Canopus were already in this. Stat-wise, it shouldn't make much of a difference to swap those out. We have Leela, his caster. He actually had me in there, so that's in there too. And Jonathas with a evasion spear setup, and this octopus, as well as Sarah and Vale for ranged. So let's see how this goes. This could go either way. The SNES team has slightly higher stats, just because a lot of them were using the original game's versions. I just figured it was a little bit more fair that way, and I still had some of them lying around. I don't know why Donalto here doesn't have an AI pattern, but we'll go ahead and set him to healer. Let's see, you... Yeah, I think Donalto was the only one I missed here. Alright, he wouldn't have ended up doing much anyway. So he's supposed to be Kane. Let me just automate these messages so I can put this controller down. There we go. No matter how many times I save it, it never wants to automate those for some reason. Come to think of it, is this scaling texture? No. Why does it look like it's scaling texture? That big saber-looking teeth. Are you sure you guys didn't get a bobcat? Just have like a bobcat and a bunch of horse-sized chickens? And... what the hell? Okay, whatever. Denim is just... he looks like an Angel Knight. Ignore that. He just looks like an Angel Knight now, whatever. I believe because I turned off the cheat, he actually shouldn't be using those the same things, so he shouldn't be hovering, ideally. God, that's such a weird situation to run into. And to explain what the crap happened... Yeah, no, he's fine. Yeah, it doesn't look like it affected his stats or anything, it's just his sprite that looks the same. So, okay, to explain what exactly is going on with that bug. So, before this, for some reason my emulator forgot all of its recent settings. I don't know why, there was no real reason for it, it just forgot them. Now, when it loaded up the cheat file, it pulled up all the cheats as they were. However, the one that I was given for Pimp Fairy Denim, as it was called, or Fairy... hang on, was it Pimp Fairy Denim? Pimp King? I don't know, something like that. Anyway, point being, he's just a golden fairy mech suit. The thing was supposed to make him hover, it was supposed to give him fairy stats, and it was supposed to turn him into how he looks now. In addition, this appears to have potentially changed... Please tell me it didn't change one of the other units into a fairy... No, okay, no, that's the same fairy that was already there. Okay, so, because that cheat was set to on when I went and copied it into a different file, it basically got set to permanently on unless it was specifically turned off. So it led to an odd thing where anytime that it comes up now on almost any one of my setup saves, it goes back and I have to go and specifically turn it off, and in this case I forgot about it because it's such a weirdly specific thing that hasn't come up for over a month. So naturally I forgot about it. Alright, it was just a gray cat, just uberized. I got a lot of stories like that. Yeah, stuff seems crazy out where you live, Mr. Cow. It kinda sounds like you live in a Rick and Morty episode. Except with a lot more desert walks. Although I will say the California desert is a little bit crazy like that. I actually used to live pretty close to there myself. But, then again, I seem to have friggin' lived everywhere at some point. So, I'm gonna say the old gen team has a pretty strong advantage here on account of starting off with 2 healers. But, you know, we'll see how this goes. Two. Actually, 3 healers. So all of them have been set up to only have abilities that they would have had in the SNES version. But again, clerics in general are phenomenally strong when it comes to one vision. And I don't mean strong as in they do a crap ton of damage, I mostly mean strong in terms of they're very, very, very incredibly useful. So, you know, one cleric will usually be enough to go and top somebody off, as opposed to the base game version, which usually consisted of healing somebody 6 or 7 times until they finally got to the top of their health bar. Now, obviously, the idea was to make it so that you could go and win by attrition very easily, but it also led to situations where you would just slowly wear down the AI every single time, and they had absolutely no counter to that. So, that's what's changed here. So, now it looks like Coburn's going to go for his petrifications. There we go. Do we have any bets on who might win this so far? I'm assuming not. Let's see, we're up to 7 people now. But, we've got 2 that are chatty. Oh yeah, if you've got chats or comments or requests or whatever, just mention it. It's like, literally, it's such a small community, no one's gonna judge anything. This just started. Nothing is offensive, nothing is judged. That is some pretty strong lag on that one. I'm not sure why. Oh well. Come to think of it... Yeah, I'm thinking it might have potentially saved something in the wrong spot or something settings-wise. Because why on earth is it that it's suddenly lagging and it didn't used to do that before? Ah, okay. There we go. It's texture scaling. It was set on auto instead of 1. Hang on. And now we're looking kind of washed out. What's going on here, game? Okay, frame skip is off. Texture scaling... No, that should be off. This is odd. Yeah, resolution, go back... yeah, that'll be fine enough. The joys of emulation, you know? Okay, not so much as a comment, but do you create separate folders for different save files so can organize them better? I actually have three different saves kind of going on. Well, save dumps going on for these at the moment. Octopi versus Schoolgirls. Oh, man. Dude, I have the perfect friggin' team for that. That's hilarious. Okay, we're gonna have to do that because it's pretty easy to set up. Yeah, I needed to make an Octopi team anyway. But yeah, so the way I do it, I have my saves for my runs on the computer. I have the team saves that I share between the two versions, and then I have, like, I think I'm up to like 15 different templates that I use to set up teams on my PSP. So I just kind of have them set up with increments of worlding that particular save file to a different chapter, which basically allows me to see how many slots are there to just kind of mentally keep an idea of where they are. Sorry if that's the most vague and nondescriptive way to possibly put that. But okay, so basically every 4 files I go and I set it up so that it saves in a different chapter of the game. Basically, this allows me that, since I use the same name on each one, this lets me have some like frame of reference between all the different save files so that I know where I put them. Other than that, no, it's a big old confusing clustercluck, and I just find a save template that kind of sort of works for whatever team I want to put together. Put together something vaguely similar. Did she just go and cast against herself? Hang on. I'm gonna have to look at the stream here real quick, because it's a little bit behind. Huh, that's weird. What the hell happened there? She aimed for a completely different tile. Yeah, she was aiming for... Oh, wait a friggin' second. Wait a minute. What the hell is Hobram wearing? This doesn't have some bizarre turnaround thing, does it? No, he doesn't... He has nothing that would do that. What the hell was that? Mr. Rakes, I don't assume you're in here to explain what just happened there, are ya? I'm pretty sure I saw that happen in base game before too, but I don't understand. So what should have happened, that was a summoning ability that they used, basically a... Well, what used to be old summoning abilities that also became like a ninja move for some bizarre reason. So those ones... Okay, they were using that ability from the staff. It was supposed to hit Hobram, and for whatever reason it aimed at a completely different area and hit her instead. Give the Octopi a cheesy line like the Ultros in FF6? Yes. Actually, that's pretty beautiful right there. I'm gonna have to remember that one. Absolutely. Organize them by recommendations or even by each person recommending them. Normally I'm pretty much just going and making a big old dump of save files. As far as I've been able to tell, I should be able to make up to 99 teams, and I don't really expect that to be an issue anytime soon. Like, I only ran into... Hell, I think I only ran into that kind of issue with Formula Front like 4 months into the whole thing, so... I'd assume we have a minute since these take so much longer to make. But yeah, I just saved them by different teams. So the teams, whenever I lock them in, like I have a separate save for them so I can go back and edit them. But if I were to go and, like, let's say I wanted to edit one of them, I would have to go and load up the old save, but however... man, train of thoughts are confusing. No. Trains of thought, rather. But no. If I were to, say, load up the team file, all I can really edit is their dialogue and map. So, yeah, you kind of have to keep double copies of it anyway. Alright, let's look at this real quick. Alright. So, who do we still have? So, for, which team is this? Alright, so for Mr. Kane's team, we have 3 down, 1 which is on the way to reviving. And then we also have 3 down for Mr. Cram's team as well, so seems like a tie so far. Man, I always forget about the Ultros. That thing's awesome. Yeah, if you haven't played FF6, I think it was FF6, right? Yeah, it looks like it. But yeah, no, there's just this octopus that refuses to die that keeps coming back as a recurring boss. He just keeps saying funny crap all game. Okay, they each knocked another one down. No, Rada. It's fine, you never even took up a sword in the first place. You can't even use one, you're a fairy. Alright, that's iWatch disabled, aka Dudette. By the way, if you're wondering, a lot of the unique characters will still say generic things when they die in this mode. So, no worries. Man, can you imagine how annoying it would have been if it actually overwrote your save file with losses that you took in this? I'd be really interested in that kind of mode, actually, because then you'd run into a situation where you could potentially just have an actual full-blown war between a bunch of different teams and see how many last. Man. You can tell when I've gotten annoying once the watching count just starts dripping off. It's always fun to watch. Alright. But yeah, old gen versus new gen. I think old gen might actually win it. I don't know, that's just my guess. Gotta go Parent. Fun. Alright, well, you have a good one, Mr. Cow. I don't know if that's pay rent or parent. I don't know, there's so many intentional misspellings that happen. Yeah, let me go right to Rakes, asking what the hell the deal was with that casting ability real quick. That's a weird one. Yep. Done. Yeah, I think... Did I completely forget to take Princess's whim off her? As if Cashua wasn't overpowered enough already? I think Cashua's pretty OP in all versions, but there's only one of her. And I guess she's also pretty squishy, so there's that. Actually, so I've been going through base game, I mention this every single time. I don't know why I'm always surprised to see that that the princess is able to use battle axes. It's an odd detail. Like it's funny because one of the early changes that One Vision made was allowing her to use spears and stuff too. But it's just such a weird selection of weapons that she gets. Like she gets knives, cudgels, swords, and axes for some reason. Like I don't get why these. You know. Why does nobody get spears in Matsuno games? Why are they such a rare thing? What do you have against spears, man? They're like the weapon. They're like the biggest thing in history. Like every single old tapestry or whatever. Like, hey, check out our spears! And like, nope. Nope, nope. No spears. Everyone use swords all the time. Oh well, maybe that's why. Maybe he just really doesn't like history. Just likes this fantasy stuff. I mean, the reason why was pretty clear. It's just, you get that little extra range. A lot of people already can just look at a spear. It's like, yeah, I know how this works. So you can basically hand a spear to anyone. It's like, okay, go poke something. Like, I understand. Is pointy stick. I take pointy stick and I go make thing dead. As opposed to a sword, it's like, here, you know, here's this blade. It's like, okay, well, I gotta learn some techniques. I gotta learn my stances. I gotta learn how to get around guards. Swords are easier to transport and sheath. Well, true, but you can also just use a spear like a walking stick. I mean, that's kind of what people did. They just You just carried a spear. I mean, you didn't really put it on your back, but honestly, a walking stick is a pretty big help when you're going and marching from place to place. I mean, whenever I used to go hiking all the time, I always used to carry a long pole around because it just made getting around easier. Whereas a sword, it's just, you know, dead weight on your hip, more or less. I mean, they were mostly just there, supposed to be there as a backup weapon, so, you know, you lost your other thing, you broke your spear, you know, ended up friggin' bending it or losing it in some way, maybe it got impaled into something. Like, here you go, you still got this pointy thing over here. And then just over time it became this thing where, you know, they basically got popularized, same way as, you know, perhaps somebody hundreds of years down the line will look through our history and they're like, they fought all wars with pistols, because that's what people use in all the movies and stories. So, that'd be pretty awesome. That'd basically be every 80s movie in a nutshell. It's like a bunch of people in Humvees and, like, surfing tanks with, like, dual magnums. This is exactly how history worked. I'd watch that. Kind of hoping that someday in the future, just all of history will be wiped and all they'll have as a memory of what people used to be is Kung Fury. Like, as you can see, people used to be able to learn martial arts, and it allowed them to pick up heavy machines and just smack them on people with horrible puns. The history of Saints Row, yeah, pretty much. Perfect. Yeah, Kung Fury and Saints Row, the true history. There we go. Oh yeah, by the way, if you're wondering why they're getting a billion skill ranks per each one, I mention it every time, but they get 64 times experience for all of their abilities in order to hopefully get some cooler crap going on as far as their moves and stuff go. There we go. What's the death count looking like right now? Dude, they're about to get their ghost back, so he doesn't count. So they're up to 4 down. We should probably just count standing at this point. So 5 and 6, actually, because the ghost is about to come back up. Alright, the old-timers are winning it so far. Yes, that would be awesome history. Would absolutely... You know what? As much as the beginning of Saints Row 4 is supposed to be like, oh, look at this guy as being a bad president. He put tigers in the office and strip clubs and everything. Yeah, you know what? I think most people would honestly prefer that right now. just saying. It's like, at least you could say, hey, look, you know, our president's awesome, not like, well, you know, what's new in the news? Well, I guess we narrowly avoided World War III again. Like, I kid you not, the topic of news in general, like, say, there's gas or something, it's just any mention of world news whatsoever, whenever my wife and I are discussing stuff, the conversation just comes to a dead stop and an awkward silence of, like, yeah, nobody say anything, because it sucks. It's awkward. It's awkward. Like, we even had some relatives that were super into supporting a super someone, and now it's just silence over there, too. Just a complete dead drop in any conversation. Alright, looks like the old-timers are still doing it, though. But yeah, looks like this will have to be the last one, so... Cockatrices versus Griffins, and, the ever-awkward caster... well... Skimpy casters versus octopi will have to be another time, which, granted, I haven't even made those teams yet, but, you know, whatever. I'll probably do that tonight. This is one of the benefits of not being able to sleep without going and staring at a screen for a while. Man. Endless stun against Kashua. The VBs? Yes. There will absolutely have to be a VB team. Actually, come to think of it, so the skimpy casters I was talking about, so Enchantresses in this game just like show up in a miniskirt and a really low-cut top, so I was basically just gonna have a team of them. But if they're also the basic caster class of this one, so what if they were the VBNs? Both teams? Maybe? Kinda? I mean, the only other... Actually, Deneb would be their leader, and she's... like, even her portrait is just like, check out my cleavage. So, there's that. I mean, we could potentially make Yuria into a caster. I mean, actually, yeah, dude. No, okay, so it's gonna be Yuria and Deneb, and then just a team of sorceresses. Which I'll show you why as soon as this fight's done. I'm like 99% sure the old-timers are winning this. Sorry, iWatch. You go bye-bye. There's no resurrections for you because the AI doesn't understand how that works. Kashua does have the ability to resurrect units. She just won't. General consensus is that she's a cold-hearted femdoge, but, you know. Fair enough. She refused to revive anyone. Now everyone will refuse to revive her. She's arguably... It's weird how the developers absolutely love her as a character, but almost... Actually, every single Western player that I've seen talking about this game basically agreed of like, oh my god, screw Kashua. Because her whole thing is just like, hi, I'm here to advance the plot by doing something incredibly stupid. Just every chapter. Like, oh, you're winning the war? Screw you! You don't care about your sister! I'm gonna betray you now! And then, like, oh, yeah, check it out, we just won the war in order to get you back. How does that make you feel? Oh, I feel like suicide now! Like, oh, we convinced you not to do that. What about now? Oh, I've been your friend this whole time! Okay. Okay, then, that makes sense. There was a video. I think I posted it up at some point. It was called Ruminations and Analysis on Tactics Ogre Left, and yeah, it's just basically this long-winded discussion going down all the amazing stuff of this game, and they put it best. It's like Kashua in a nutshell. Every other character is fleshed out. You know, they have all their motivations. Every single plot line, they will follow those through to the bitter friggin' end. You know, they will go and they will just die for whatever it is that they're trying to accomplish. But she grabs the idiot ball and runs with it the entire time. So I could have sworn I just heard my phone going off, but I can't find the darn thing. Ah well. Hopefully it's nothing important. If it is important, I'm gonna get yelled at. Alright, we're gonna fast forward through that. Oh wait, no, I have no fast forward button since apparently my buttons got rekeyed. I don't even know how that happens. But yeah, so, okay, I'm actually running really short on time here, so, I'm gonna have to show that picture I was talking about later. Because I don't think I even have time for that. Actually, control mapping. Let's do this. Let's see. Where is L trigger? Okay. No pause on that. Man, all my buttons got redone and everything. Okay, get rid of that. Add that. There we go. Okay, never mind. That doesn't even want to work now. Wonderful. Alright, who's left on Cram's team then? Is it just the three? Okay, we've only got the 2 for the old-timers, 5 left on the new guys. Alright, but either way, I'm gonna have to go right now because I have to go take care of some stuff, so I'm gonna turn this off here and look at the outcome later. So, yeah, it kind of looks like the new timers are... Or no, wait, no, he just took out the ghost. So all that leaves is Habarim then. He's gonna take out Sarah. Alright, come on. I'll know Habarim's losing here. but okay, so I do have to get going, so... Looks like the new team won it. I'll be looking for feedback from both those guys to see about how they would have done it a little bit different. Yeah, I'm sure you're not going to heaven, Kashra. I'll be frank here. There's a nice little spot reserved in hell for you, lady. Alright. Dang it! He's going after me! Actually, no, wait. Charybdis. Okay, so apparently my guy just killed him. There we go. That's that. Anyway, see you guys later. Thank you for showing up. I hope it was fun, and if you have any requests, let me know anytime. Alright, have a good one.